Hello and welcome today to this very short video or spontaneous interview. I'm here in Italy in an Erasmus Plus training, and I have come across an amazing organization from Africa, from Uganda, who are doing great work in the context of using sport and culture as a vehicle for change. So I decided spontaneously, let's record a short video in order to share the story of this organization with more. And maybe can I just ask you to briefly introduce yourself, your name and the name of the organization, just a few words, and then we go into the
Thank you. My name is Sebulime Elisha Davis. I am from Uganda. I work with Soul-Xpressions, which is based in Kampala.
So what is the aim of your organization? What do you try to reach with the organization?
Interesting question. Thank you. The aim of the organization is basically to explore, design programs that are based in the arts, culture and sports to empower individuals to find solutions or measures that can enable them solve their challenges per se in their immediate environments. And this kind of model, what we're trying to do is basically trying to explore different cultures all around to see how it can be more accommodating of everyone and their needs and their abilities. So that's what we're trying to do with Soul-Xpressions.
So if I break it down to a more specific, how can I imagine what are the daily activities of your organization? What are you doing there?
Outcome that we want to see in every activity, whether it's sports, culture discussions, intercultural learning, exchange programs or arts classes, is to develop that imagination, creativity and critical thinking. And to do this, we have outreach programs, which is basically we go to different centers in Kampala that are housing young people from the age of 10 to 25. And we also do residential art camps, where we take them out of their settings into a different space. And we also do art classes where we focus on developing the art, which is dance or music or creative writing. And also we have international exchange programs with Erasmus or with other African agencies.
Okay. So how exactly do you use sport or culture as a mean to change their lives? So how do you impact them through this art and sport?
One of the elements that we find that is very working in our learning spaces is we start with setting up community agreements. And this is an entry into a mindset that we are able to do something. So we say we all agree as a community we're going to try new things. Sports in the background, everyone thinks that you have to be very talented, very gifted. So this community agreement, when we agree in our learning spaces, everyone shifts their mindset that, oh, I can try something new, but in a more sported environment. So with this, they engage without that notion of like, I have to be perfect, I have to be good. And then in the end, they find things about themselves and whoever they are doing these activities with that can help them develop these skills.
So you take out this pressure which profi sport has when you say it's just this leisure time activity, it's about the community.
Yeah, because usually the things that hinder us from trying things is because we feel like we're not good enough. So when you take that out of the space, people are willing to try. And when they try, you see the potential, you see the abilities, and this is how you use sports to actually reach them. Then they are playing football, playing volleyball, or even just taking walks. And that's how you can find what they're really capable of, and that's what society needs. So in that way, we're using sports as a tool to reach them, to empower them, and also to know that but I think that is the main thing that we see, that when we use this sport, but also because you know that young people in their societies, they have these idols who are like football players, basketball players, they adore, but because they know they don't have the same quality, ability, so they shy away from that. But when we put it in our learning spaces and give it to them, and they can say, okay, I can use it, the things they become amazing. So that is how we use sports. And then culture, I think culture, like using the same concept of community agreements, we try to break the notion that culture is something that is set and formed. We tell them this is something dynamic, something that grows and adapts. So when they take that out of their mindset, they are willing to try new things, accepting the old, but also marrying it with what is happening. And then in the end, they can be able to find solutions to whatever is affecting them. So we tell them that culture is something that is dynamic. It's like dance, it's movement, it's moving. Then with that, they relate with the concept of culture as something that they also have choice to form, to inform, or to create. So that it's not that big word culture is set and we can't do anything about, but we have to fit in. So it gives them that freedom to know that it can be broken down, understood, but also, we have the power.
You have like one favorite short story you want to share about maybe one person whom you really could help with that method a lot?
I have quite a number of them, and I think Frank is one of them that I can really go back to, because the family moved from Rwanda and they came to Uganda. Different culture, different language, and they were like, how do we adapt? The parents were a bit older, and they were like, learning the language is going to be really hard. But because the young people were like, they can adapt. So when they came to this program, they learned the language, first of all. They kept the Rwandese cultural heritage and traditions and way of life. Of course, language is key to that. And Frank now is someone who can speak different languages. And right now, when he's describing his identity, he says, I'm a Rwandan, Ugandan artist.
Right.
But society wants it to be only one thing. Things like that. The things he can do now is amazing. Because when the young people look at him, they feel like, oh, we cannot only do one thing, but we can do many things if we choose to do that. And he's a living example for them. So I think he's one example that I can give.
Very nice. You kind of indicated already in your answers, but maybe you can still try to conclude it. Why is sport or art the vehicle you choose? Like, there are many methods of social work and bringing change to community. So why sport and arts? What is the strength of this, you think?
I think the primary reason behind that is because my background is art and sports. So you have to start with where you are to interact with the world. I use sports and art because they have the power or the opportunity to bring people together so that everyone's point of view can be on the table. And when that happens, there's exchange, there's growth, there's evolution, and that is what we need, because we're living in societies that have seasons. So if we are creating systems that are not dynamic enough, then we cannot adapt. We're always going to be clashing within and without. So sports is something that engages people on a level that is physical, emotional, and psychological. And this is what we need to develop within the individuals. So I find it a very powerful tool to engage people, to look around and see what is actually not working well for them, and fix that in their own way and power. So that is why I use art and sports, because it's my background, but also because the organization and what we're trying to do should be beyond that and accommodating people of different backgrounds. So we are open to having other people come in and say, because we know people who are good at digital, science and all of that. And if they come along, we'll be like, please join us, because we know young people have different needs, different abilities, and we cannot meet all of them through arts and sports. But sports is what we have now, and hoping that other things will come into play when the place is safe, when the resources are available. Yeah.
Very nice. Do you feel, for my students, I have to explain you a bit the background before, you want to add anything here to make this a round picture at the moment?
I think one thing, there's so many things I would add, but I invite us as a people to acknowledge that culture or any other phenomena that is supporting and directing our lives is not static. So we should be open and develop abilities of lifelong learning so that we can change with the changing times and all of that. To do that, we'll be able to, solve whatever comes our way, because the power is there. And I think also one thing that I want also to emphasize is everything that is happening to us is because of system. So if we can also create systems that are flexible, then we can change with the changing times. The reason today we are struggling with this thing is because we have traditions, systems passed down that are not relevant anymore, but we want to keep them, and that's why we are clashing with the times. So if we can develop those abilities, I think, we can fit in, we can dance better with life and not be rigid that this should be done this way. But also it helps us to know things were done that way for a purpose. So we learn and appreciate, honor that, but also we know that we have the power and ability to add. It's not done. So also when it's our time to pass it down to the next generations, we allow them the freedom to create living spaces that are accommodating everyone. And in that way we can build cohesive communities where no one is afraid of anybody, because our minds are like quite flexible. So that is what I think.
Beautiful vision. Beautiful artistic way of putting the idea of a dynamic, resilient community in an artistic flow with dance.
Thank you.
Eventually, I would like to give you the space to maybe tell to the students if somebody might be interested getting engaged with you, what might be the opportunities and how could they reach out to you?
Our space is open, and the team on ground is basically in sports and arts. But also we know that, like I said earlier, that all the needs of the community are not going to be solved through sports. But we are inviting people, whether through digital communication and interaction, or just even showing up in our spaces and add something to that. Because the idea is to develop that alternative methodology of learning and teaching that can accommodate everyone. So we are open to other people who might just say, I have some time, I can teach someone what I know. So they are all welcome. And I can just share with them my email address, and then we can open the door and see how they dance.
Wonderful. I shall just put here the email address and the website.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your interview, for this time.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye.